Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is based on the Alvin Schwartz series of scary stories that follows a group of teenagers on Halloween as they break into a haunted house and find a haunted book that ends up determining their fate as it writes their scary stories. So I was really excited to see this film. Like many, I heard Guillermo del Toro's presence on the film and instantly became excited. Now, he is only a producer, not a director. However, he did work on the screenplay as well. Plus, we all know of these scary stories by Schwartz, but the narrative itself was a bit meh. And then I saw the trailer, and I was hopefully optimistic, but my excitement was definitely dampened. And overall, I thought the film was fine for what it was. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives. So I want to start off by saying this is a film for teens, preteens, right around in that early teenage range, right around the PG-13 appropriate rating it received. So honestly, if you're a horror junkie, if you like the bloodbaths, if you really are into R-rated horror, adult skewing horror, sophisticated horror, this film is not really made for you. Instead, it's made for a much younger audience to give them an actual scary film for Halloween. But one that's scary for their range, and I think it actually succeeds on that front. Honestly, when we're in the horror set pieces where we're having the scary stories unfold, it builds tension really well. Whether through music or the complete absence of music, it uses great settings to bring these scary stories to life in a way that builds tension and creates some pretty scary little set pieces, especially for the target. And I have to say, I do think that the storyline also works better than I had anticipated. Now, of course, if you're going to turn a series of short stories into a feature-length film, you're going to need to come up with some sort of device, some sort of narrative to weave the short stories together. And at first, I was like, we should have just done some sort of anthology series on Netflix or something that would have worked better. But I have to give it to him. The story that is presented, the narrative that we do get, was effective in my book. The book itself was a fun plot device, and I found myself actually interested in the story that we were given, on top of Schwartz's source material stories, which also mostly were brought to life pretty well. And I actually enjoy that we have a movie that aims to scare teenage audiences. We've had stuff like Goosebumps and The House with the Clock in its Walls that were aimed at younger audiences to give them a little bit of spooks, but give them Halloween fun. And then we have horror movies, much scarier movies, or at the very least, movies that aim to scare adults. So I enjoy that we got a movie that tried to be a horror film for a teenage audience. And again, I think it succeeded in creating that. As for the acting, Zoe Margaret Coletti was actually very good. She was by far the best actor in this film, and one of the only good performances if we're being honest. But I thought she really sold her character and what she needed to do as our lead, and she did what she had to do to carry the plot. I also thought the designs were interesting and helped create a little bit of a scary atmosphere. In particular, the Scarecrow, I thought his design was super creepy, actually. But again, with Schwartz's material, it's hard. I think it's actually difficult to adapt. More difficult than maybe we give the filmmakers credit for. Because when you read them, they can be creepy, they can be a little bit haunting. However, when you visualize it and put it to screen, it can easily come off hokey. Some of these do come off hokey, but when they hit, I thought they were done as well as you could have expected. So what doesn't work so well, then, when it comes to scary stories to tell in the dark? Well, pretty much all the acting outside of our lead was terrible. I'm sorry, but it was not good. Austin Zajur, you get a special shout out because, oh my goodness, this performance It was bad. It was really bad. But Dean Norris, you're a veteran actor, and that performance also was bad. But honestly, all of these performances outside of probably our two main leads were not good, and they were TV level worthy, not even like good TV that we get these days, like old school teeny bopper mess. It was just not very good. And honestly, the actual words and the dialogue, that portion of the script was not very good either, so they weren't given that much great material to work with. And at the end of the day, I still think this would have been better suited for Netflix or somewhere else, because the way it's shot is very bland, it is very television, the lighting is blech, the jump scares are definitely rudimentary. As I alluded to in my positives, some of these creatures look insane. Many decisions, in particular, this segment with a cop in the police station, was baffling to me and just annoying. The humor is squarely aimed at a younger audience because I found it highly annoying. And that entire setup portion of this film was just terrible like that, honestly. We play into tropes, whether they be horror tropes or teenage bully tropes or just like teenage gang tropes. All of them are here, and they're here in spades, and it's rather disappointing each and every time they come up on screen. So overall, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is a little bit difficult for me to rate or rank or suggest, because I do think it succeeds in creating some really creepy, kind of scary set pieces for a young teenage audience to have fun with. There are moments to laugh with, maybe even moments to just flat out laugh at. I don't know. But I think that target will enjoy the film and have fun experiencing it. However, it's just not a very well made film overall. Just from all technical aspects, it is subpar. So if you're an adult, if you're a horror fan, wait for this to come out to rental and then give it a watch. If you're a fan of the Schwartz stories, I would also wait for this to come out onto Redbox or rental and then give it a watch. It's worth seeing, and you'll want to at least see what was brought to the screen, but it's definitely not high quality enough to pay theater prices. And if you're 13 to 17 and are just looking for like a fun horror movie that you don't have to sneak into or get your parents to buy a ticket for, I would give this a Friday night watch. I think you'll have fun with it. But in saying that, this movie takes place like starting on Halloween. I have no idea why it's being released in August. I guess to avoid competition, but there's nothing else aimed at this target during Halloween, and it just doesn't make sense to be watching right now. So we'll see. So that is my review of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? And what is your favorite film that compiles short stories into a feature-length story? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!